Alright guys, it's time for a bit of an update video on this abandoned GX470. I finally got plates for it! And I got tags. There's a lot to cover with this one, so let's get started. First though, these hood struts are completely trashed. So I'm gonna go ahead and replace them with these units. So I've never done this before, but I've seen somebody put vice grips on to hold this hood up, and it seems to be working. I'm gonna start out with this bottom bolt and figure out what to do with this one. We'll see how it goes. All right, it looks like this loosened right up. I'm just gonna keep going on this. And the new ones I got are right here. Looks like, yep, we got 4, so they'll have those ball mounts for both sides, top and bottom. This stopped working after I got the first strut off, so I had to call in the reinforcements. These are super easy to get in. You just kind of like put the ball in the end here. Okay, looks like this one side is now holding up both sides for us. So I'm gonna throw the other side in and it should look similar to this. This is like the easiest thing ever, guys. If you ever have your hood struts go out, just order these new ones. I'll like link them in the description. Also, if you have brake fluid that is above the max line, you did not just get some free brake fluid randomly. Brake fluid Santa did not arrive to your car. Your brake fluid has absorbed water. So I'll need to bleed these out. I do have new rotors on the way. These ones are very rusty and haggard. So that'll be a fun install. I don't know if the calipers are still good. I still gotta check everything out, guys. This thing has just been sitting for months. I'm ready to get started on it. All right, and after putting way too much effort into the second one, let's see how it closes. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now let's see if it'll open. There it goes. You may be wondering why I have my key taken apart. Well, that's because on Amazon, you can actually buy new key covers. They come with new screws and the new thing that the metal part goes into, everything you need. So I'm gonna do that right now. And I do not believe the battery has ever been changed in this thing, so I'm gonna put a freshie in there as well. And the cover goes back on. Okay, and if you look here, it now works. So let's put this remote inside of its new home. All right, I almost got the key out. Now I'll just need to put it in through this guy and put it in the new shell. And you have the large circle here that presses down here. If you can see this. So that's what that looks like. You kind of put it in, and then you get your remote right here. You might want to clean around this a little bit, get a damp little thing and clean around. All right, that looks good. And then, there we go. Let's see if it lines up. Now that pressed in. Okay, it looks like it fits pretty nice and snug. Here's the back. A lot of people in the reviews on the Amazon page were like, this didn't come with a Lexus logo, but dummy, you gotta take the cover off. There you go. There, it snapped in. Provided screwdriver. Okay, and that's what it looks like. Okay, so it's been a few days, as you can see. I'm wearing a new shirt, but I'm in the same garage and sitting in front of my beautiful tags here. So let's start with story time. How did I find this thing for so cheap? Well, it turns out a family member was going to invest in a property that belonged to somebody who hoarded for years and years, and the place was full of stuff from floor to ceiling. You walk in and it's eye level height of just stuff throughout the whole house with paths carved into it for people to get through. Tragically, he has Parkinson's and is in a nursing home and didn't need the house anymore. It was next to the childhood home of a family member, and they wanted to go in and restore this house to supposed former glory, I guess. So what did I see in the driveway when they sent me a picture of their property? This guy. It was covered in spider webs, the headlights were super yellow, and it looked like it was in really rough shape. I had no idea about any of the history with this car. It was sitting there for the years since he was in the home. It must have been at least 1, maybe 2, possibly 3 years of just sitting there. If you guys know, beach type weather, it can get really kind of wet and clammy out during the winter months. So go up to anyone in the car, there would be a layer of moisture. And also the sun here can get pretty intense. So a lot of this paint on here is totally faded. I figured that I could potentially junk this thing for about $1,500. I got a quote for that in case it turned out that way. I would offer the guy's son $2,000 for it. We were working out the deal together. Since it was stuck on that property anyway, and it would belong to my family member regardless, he just wanted to get rid of it at that point. He wasn't interested in seeing what the market value was or anything like that. I just kind of swooped in as a guy to say, hey, I'll take it off your hands so you don't have to worry about it, and I'll give you something for it instead of nothing. That's how it happened, all right? So a lot of people that don't understand that situations like this can come up in people's lives, commenting, we don't believe him anyway, because all the mindset is it has to be through the traditional market means that this stuff happens. Well, not always. Sometimes life smiles upon you and you get these opportunities. Now, I'm trying to learn as much as I can about cars and get as much wrenching experience as I can, as you can see by the channel. So I thought, what better opportunity to do it than on this? If I end up totally crashing and burning, it's content for you guys. And if I make it run, maybe my wife will have a nicer baby mobile. She drives a Chevy Volt now, and I figure having a big old SUV will be a little safer for her and our baby, who is due in late June. That's how we got to the point where you saw I showed up at night. I had as powerful of a flashlight as I could get, and I started looking at this thing, and the owners of the house son showed up. I told him I'd just take it to my place. Here's the big part of the story. There is no title with this thing. So being that the gentleman was not very organized at home, he lost the title. The title was nowhere to be found. So what do we have to do? We had to figure out how to get this thing transferred over to me. And I'll tell you, it is not easy, but it is possible. I can go into a little bit of how it's done and tell you the paperwork you need, at least in California. But that's the point, is I don't know if anybody else would have touched this thing, because in addition to that, after looking at one of the registration cards from 2017, it had a lien holder on it. So I don't think too many other people would touch this car if they didn't have a little bit of trust in the previous owner's word. He told me that the lien was paid off, and I told him I'd give him $500 and I would take the car as collateral basically, and that was my deposit to him. We then got to signing our DMV paperwork, and I'll show you a little bit of that now. The first form you need is the application for duplicate or paperless title, Reg 227 in California. It's a pretty self-explanatory document. There's other videos on how to figure that out. The next one is a statement of facts, and this is to transfer only, and they just fill out that they lost the thing and they sign it. It's always good to have a bill of sale when you're doing anything like this. And then the last one is the DMV told them that you need an actual DMV form and you can't print a copy offline. I don't know how true that is, but We did this on an original DMV form, and it's the vehicle vessel transfer and reassignment form. Got all those papers signed, and we decided that, you know, it might be worth just, instead of going down this route where I have to trust the mail system to deliver these documents, and if they get lost or something in the mail, it's not easy at all to get into nursing homes these days. As you could probably guess from the pandemic, it took us months to get in there, to get the owner to sign the paperwork. So we didn't want to go through that again. We thought it might be easier to try to do a request for duplicate title on his end. So we started that process, and I lost contact with him. So this is the thing about buying cars and trusting people to do things. You need to get the paperwork you need, and if you want to try something else, go ahead and try it, because they're likely to get busy and just not get back to you. So I had the papers sitting there ready to go if need be, and then I decided that we could try something, but lost contact, and so I did it myself. Now, when I'm working with the DMV, it's a company that liaisons for DMV. They were fantastic, by the way. I've used them to register my motorcycle as well. I had another weird title issue. So they made it way easier than dealing with a DMV. They came back to me and said, "Oh, this car has a lien on it." So my heart obviously sank at that point. I thought he said that there was no lien on the vehicle. And the lady at Need Tags gave me the name of the company that held the lien, and I looked it up and they did not exist anymore. So I have a car that I've paid for at this point, the rest of the $1,500 to him in exchange for the paperwork that we just talked about. And then I have this lien on it. So, man, what do I do now? So I start researching this company. They no longer exist, but some random website has a phone number to them, and I guess the phone number routed me somehow to GM Financial. The first lady I talked to on the other line didn't want anything to do with it. She put me back in the queue, and I waited another 30 minutes. I've worked in a call center before, so I know that she just did not want anything to do with this. Next guy that picked up the phone was great. He explained that company that held the lien was one of the companies that GM Financial acquired over the years, and that yes, this is an old loan, but we could still see the balance has been paid off. Oh, man, imagine my relief at hearing that. So he says, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna go to our website here, and you're gonna request a lien release letter. So, oh great, they charge you $23 for it. Whatever, I do not care at this point to quibble over $23. They sent me the lien release letter. I sent that in to the DMV company, and was able to get tags that same day virtually, and then they sent them a few days later. What a process it has been. I hope that you guys can understand the situation, why I couldn't talk about it too much. I just didn't have any updates. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to keep this car or if I was going to not be able to register it. I didn't know if the title would be clean or branded or salvage or anything like that. It turns out after all this hard work, it is paying off. Even though the situation was sketchy, the risk was worth it for me. And it looks like this is gonna be my wife's new car. Totally unexpected. We were not in the market for a new car, but I was so impressed with the other GX470 that I have on the channel that another one would just be all the better. Not to mention the fact that we turned on the ignition that one time in the how to start a car after years of sitting video. It only has 100,000 miles, 100,700 miles. Also the fact, probably more importantly, that after changing the oil out of an abundance of caution, fogging down the cylinders and spark plugs, turning it by hand, checking the timing belt, all of that stuff, she started right up, just needed a battery. The whole thing is very humbling, and I'm super thankful for the opportunity that smiled upon me here. So this is going to be more of a daily driver build type thing. We may get into a lot of maintenance items and can go over some additional things. I have brakes on the way. We may get suspension, serpentine belt, and I'll show you guys how to do all that stuff. And as always, I am learning this stuff as I do it. I'm just showing you. how I do it and how I figure out how to do it. You know, I can't tell you enough how much the channel has just encouraged me to try things on my own. And I realize not everybody has that, so I'm just trying to convey to you how much of a novice I am. A lot of people on the forums and stuff just say things like everybody should know them. And I'm one of the people that's just like, are you serious? You could just do that? I've never, you know, done that before. I just went and tried it on my other one. You know, it was more of like a COVID boredom project, and now I think I'm getting a ton more experience with working on cars because I really like cars, and also it translates to other things around the house and DIY projects otherwise. So hopefully you guys get some of those same benefits from the channel as well.